To welcome everyone to tonight's meeting, February the 16th, 2021, to the school board meeting here in Madison, Florida. At this time, we will stand for a moment of silence, and then we will proceed with the prayer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Again, I would like to welcome each of you to tonight's meeting for our school board meeting. Tonight we have Ms. Jennifer Stanley filling in for Ms. Bishop. Ms. Bishop's out tonight. She will be our secretary. Jennifer is our school-related personnel of the year for the district office, so it's nice having her here tonight helping us out. At this time we will begin. Is there any public input, public comments? Okay. If there's none, we will go to items 2.1, which is an amendment to the agenda. I will move that to 5.5. So items 2.1 will be 5.5, bus repairs. Okay, at this time, I will go over the consent items. We have the minutes from February the 1st, 2021. We have the property disposals. The current value of it is $1,151.90. And again, I'm always in disposing, or when disposing property, you want to look back at how long it's been. And some of these properties have been since 2003, 2005. The latest property was 1987. So that's just a little idea of the properties that we were disposing. Okay, with that being said, is there a motion to approve the consent items?
I move to approve the consent agenda items.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, second by Ms. Williamson. Is there any discussion? Okay, if there's no discussion, all those in favor of the consent items, please raise your hand. 4-0, Ms. Stanley, or 5-0, Ms. Stanley, sorry. Okay. We're moving to 5.1, personnel changes. Dr. Blue.
Good evening, Brother Chair and board members. I ask that the board approve 5.1 personnel changes at this time, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the personnel changes.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been properly moved by Ms. Bell, seconded by Mr. Carroll. All those in favor, show a hand, please. All those opposed? 5-0, Ms. Stanley.
I'd like to say something about that.
Yes, ma'am.
I looked on this agenda earlier, and nothing was on here about the sports supplement. Actually, nothing was on there earlier about the supplements or anything.
You didn't see it on there?
Earlier today.
Miss Board Member, that was added late and that was clean up our records, but in the future, we will have things posted in a timely manner.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to, because otherwise I'm not gonna be able to address it.
Okay,
Because, you know, you only have, you try to keep up with it, but if it's not there, I just can't do it.
okay. We will
Okay.
have things posted in a timely manner moving forward,
Thank you.
unless absolutely necessary.
Yeah, I realize sometimes it will be necessary.
We need to explain that. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Blue. 5.1 was personnel changes, and that was 5-0, Ms. Stanley. 5.2 is a memorandum of understanding with FAMU's educational leadership program within the district here. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, Mr. Chair and board members, what we have here is a memo of understanding with the FAMU Educational Leadership Department. And I think this is a fantastic agreement that we're venturing into. They do have an outstanding leadership program because I did graduate from that program. But what they are offering to us, they're not bringing the program back to Madison right now. It's still on campus. But if we have an employee that's going into leadership as one of their graduates, they will support them for 2 years. And so they are ensuring that their graduates are up to par. So that's what this is about. And they will, and it won't cost us anything, but they will follow them and provide necessary PD the PD if necessary.
Good, that's good.
Okay, that sounds good.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Okay. One thing, it is a 5-year agreement, but I think, like you said, that there's not a cost to the
It's
district,
not a
right?
cost.
Okay. So as long as that's, yeah.
Okay. That sounds great. With that being said, is there a motion to approve the memorandum of understanding with the FAMU Educational Leadership Program?
Yes, I'll make the motion to approve the memorandum.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Gibson. Is further discussion? Okay, if there is no further discussion, all those in favor, show of hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Stanley. Okay, 5.3, the SAT ACT contract for Saturday tutoring. And this is with Brighter Day Performance Leadership Academy Incorporated from Valdosta. And this will include grades 11 and 12 at Madison County High School on Saturday 9 through 12 and on Wednesdays from 3:30 to 4:30.
Yes, sir. And this will come out of ULIC.
Okay?
So I ask that the board approve the SAT ACT contract.
Okay.
So sounds good.
And the only thing, Mr. Chairman, on this one, if you look on number 4 on the dispute resolution paragraph, it's got that a venue is in Leon County if you had to go to court, which, I mean, we're close enough to Leon, I don't know if that's a big deal, but normally we don't do that. Normally we require it in Madison County. So what you might want to do is approve it with a change in Leon to Madison. The federal court it's talking about is the ordinary federal court we would go to anyway. You know, we in Madison and Leon are in the same district, so we would
Right.
go to federal court anyway. But I'd recommend changing that Leon to Madison.
So the venue in state court shall be Madison County?
That's right.
Okay. Okay, with that, with the advice from our attorney, whoever feels like they want to make, or if they were to make the motion, would you please consider including that in the motion?
Okay. I move to approve the SAT ACT contract with the exception of changing the location of the court to Madison County rather than Leon County.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Ms. Bell. So it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Bell. Is there any discussion? Okay, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor, show of hand, please. Okay, 5-0, Ms. Stanley. Thank you,
Thank you.
Dr. Blue. Okay, 5.4, Ms. Joseph, financial report.
Mr. Chair, we have our financial reports for December 2020 prepared by Ms. Clara Floyd. And looking through them, basically, we are in good shape. We are holding our own. And we really we need this because we have some large expenditures coming along. But in our general fund 100, basically at the top you see your income, and then at the by middle wage you see your income, which is 53.66% of what we are projected to receive. And that particular report flowed to the next page, which we've only spent 46.5%, and it goes on through like that. The only one that you may see a little concern about is your food service. And if you note, the food service, we received 34% of our funds so far, and we spent 42%. But in the notation at the bottom, you'll see that the December funds are in transit, which will put us back on track.
Okay.
In food service, you normally spend that earlier because the
Yes.
summer comes at the end of the year, so you're obviously not doing as much, not feeding as many kids in the summer.
That's true. But that's our December financials.
Okay. Okay, is there a motion to approve the financial report for December?
I move to approve the financial report for December.
Second, and I just want to thank Ms. Floyd for putting all this together for us.
I thank you very much.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson. Is there any further discussion? Okay.
We do appreciate Mrs. Floyd.
Yeah, we do
Yes.
appreciate Ms. Floyd and our finance officer who is working with us at this time also, just all the work that he's been doing and she's been doing to help us be where we're at. So it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Stanley. Okay, item 5.5 is our bus repair. Ms. Joseph?
Okay, this is sort of a large bill, but what we had to replace a motor in a bus, and the bill is $22,000. But from a report I've shown you earlier, a brand new bus back in 2017 cost $102,000, and so replacing the motor for $22,000 as opposed to over $100,000, I think that was a necessary spending.
Right. Okay, is there any questions?
Well,
Ms.
I was
Williams?
just, I don't have a problem with it, but I was wondering if there's such a thing. I'd like to know the shape, the condition of the fleet, let's put it that way. In other words, are we, that's an 11-year-old bus, I think, which
Yes.
I'm sure they'll last for quite a while, but I mean, I know we replaced some buses a few years ago.
We
And
still
what-
need to purchase an additional buses, but that's not quite our problem
Yeah.
right now, major concern. Our major concern now, we need to get some bus drivers.
Oh,
We
that's,
need bus operators.
yeah.
Back to the question of the fleet. I mean,
We did
We-
buy some buses.
we did
Yeah,
buy
we bought-
some,
But we didn't buy enough to bring it up to
Where
where we
we
didn't
needed
still
to be.
have some really older buses.
Yeah,
also.
we
That's
do
what I'm
need
wondering
to,
about.
We still have those and they're operating, but they break down more often, but you gotta fix them.
Yeah.
Right.
Because we don't have the funds to buy brand new ones and stuff, so this is not,
our present buses, we're leasing them. And if I could tell, I don't know whether we're finished paying on them or not. I don't know how many years.
What year was it? 17? Wasn't it a 5-year?
Six.
It's a 3-year lease.
16.
Was it 3
It
or
was
5?
after I got on the board, I remember that.
He says it was a 3-year lease. But I
3-year
think we've
lease.
got another year to pay on those buses that we're leasing.
And that, I mean, it's probably something we need to look at when that lease is up, of doing it again for more
Another
buses.
several buses and kind of
To,
keep.
yeah, to get us maybe back into where we're close to where we were, I mean, where we should be. Because we're not, I mean, we made a good faith effort back to bring it up, but there was no way we could bring up a whole fleet of new buses.
Hopefully we get to a point where we can add 1 or 2 new buses to the fleet every
Year.
year, rather than buying a
Wait,
large number
right.
and then all of them deteriorate
Being
at
old
the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say that I'm sure that our mechanics and the bus shop uses spare parts as much
They
as
do.
they can and cannibalize the buses that
That
are.
they do.
Yeah, so, I mean,
But it's been a long time since we've been able to, Mr. Carroll probably remembers, we had about a 40-bus fleet, and we would get 4 new buses a year, bump out the 10, 12-year-old buses, put in the new, just keep it rotated. But then funds changed and things happened where you couldn't keep up with the 4 per year, and they started getting older and older.
and in all reality, we don't know what's going to face us this year with our funds and what the legislature we're going to have. So the $22,000 is probably is a good deal. I mean, it's a lot of money, but it's probably it is the thing that makes the most sense of what we have before us.
It's just, I mean, when they have a motor go out like that, do they, I mean, is this the only company they use, or do they check?
They check
They
around but certain, they do bargain hunting, but they still want the best quality. They don't just get the cheapest, but they get the best quality for
For the money.
the money. They're good stewards of their monies, okay?
Ms. Williamson is right, it was a 5-year lease, and we paid off in December of 22.
22.
Okay, so we've got another year.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, is there a motion to approve the purchase of
Payment.
the payment of
Payment.
the engine for
I'll
the
make-
bus?
Yes, I'll make the motion to pay the bill for the new motor for the bus.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, it's properly moved by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Mr. Carroll. Any discussion? Okay, if there's no further discussion, it's been properly moved by Ms. Williamson, seconded by Mr. Carroll. All those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Stanley. Okay, that concludes the items for individual consideration. Now we're moving to Superintendent Items 6.1.
Okay, Mr. Chair, I've placed several items on the desk in front of you. And just to talk about, the first thing, I've got a letter that says when to quarantine. The administrators from the district that included our charter schools, we met yesterday at our retreat and we discussed one of our big discussions that we were having in the district, and I'm sure you've had some comment about it. The CDC came out with some new guidelines, some updated guidelines about the various days that a student could be quarantined. That was causing a lot of confusion within the district, because if a student came back earlier than the 14 days that's recommended by the CDC, they would have to still maintain a social distance, still wear masks, still do all of that. We were having trouble being consistent across the district, and so for consistency's sake, because these kids know each other, they play with each other, they socialize with each other, I've come out with this statement that all schools within Madison County will adhere to the 14-day quarantine option, and I have discussed this with their health department. And so I need your blessing because I need you to support this. Yes, the CDC guideline says you can come back after 7 days with a negative test, but you cannot participate in any extracurricular activities, and you will still have to be isolated even within the classrooms. And in some of the classrooms, that's kind of hard to do. And you'll have to constantly wash your hands. But that was causing some confusion because some people were confused because if you come back to school, yes, you can play basketball, but if you come back before the 14 days over, you would have to wear a mask and play basketball. And so how uncomfortable would that be for the student and how easy would that be to enforce? So, yes, it hurt our hearts. It hurts my heart to do it because I'm an educator. And I need the students in school, I need them to do face-to-face. But you've got to choose your battles. And so the group, and it was not my decision, it was a group decision, decided that we would go and enforce the 14-day quarantine.
So what you're saying is that even if they're come back at the 7 days and they're having to quarantine within the school for another 7 days?
At your desk, I've got a document that further explains that. But yes, that's what, you would have to come back to school. You would still have to quarantine within the school site. And yes, you're running around. You cannot participate in any extracurricular activity. You cannot even ride the bus if you come back early.
I think that would be, for some of the schools, the way the school's made up, it'd be really hard to quarantine a child at school.
Right.
It's,
Well, I mean, I would think all the schools would be hard, because your outline schools would be shorter of staff where, and maybe not the room where you could spread them out. Your bigger schools, I mean, I didn't realize that was the case with that. I mean,
you know, the children, young or older, they like to socialize, and it's hard to keep them separated, I would think. You know, they're back to school, so I like this. I like these guidelines.
But that's the latest guideline, and I referenced it as of February 11, 2021. Okay, now if some people go and search the internet, they'll see something, make sure they pull the right paper, right guidelines, because the CDC are constantly updating their guidelines.
Is that just for students or is
That's for students. Now, if anybody, if they're positive, it's mandatory to stay home. Now, teachers, if we're able to isolate them in their classrooms, because at the high school, those teachers have offices where they do not have to be in contact with the students. Now, some positions at the schools, you can isolate them, as opposed to some positions you cannot. Example, we had a parapro at the central school. We were able to assign her to Mr. Goyette, and he had her in a room by herself doing some calling. And so she was able to come to work every day without having contact with the students.
But what about it? I mean, would the staff go by the rule of if they have a negative test, they can come back in 7 days?
Okay, and let me see if I can answer you again. Okay, if a staff have been in close contact, even on day one, if they can go back to the school, to the work site, and not be in contact with anyone, they can come back day one.
is there an essential worker?
Right.
as long as they wear the mask.
They
can.
wear the mask and they do not come in close contact with anyone. We're teaching Zoom lessons, or we're teaching our lessons on Canvas. And if a teacher can get in her classroom and teach her lesson on Canvas without coming in direct contact with the student, we need her there.
Yeah.
And I'm saying her, it might be in him. Okay? Are you following me? Whereas we
I am, but
had.
I don't really think you understand what my question is. I know that they can come back, but what if, like, the CDC says that you can take a test after 7 days and go back to work fully, not isolated from anybody. So if you do it there day one, at day 7, and they're taken and they are negative, they take a test and they're negative, and on day 7, can they come out of that rat hole at the end?
Are you talking about workers?
Yes.
Okay, the workers we are considered essential workers, even though that does not move us up the ladder to get our vaccination. Essential workers, if you can come to work after day 1 and be isolated, you don't have to wait the 7 days.
When
I know that.
when do you stop having to be isolated? I
Right.
think is what Mr. Carroll wants to know, if you're negative.
14 days. After 14 days, you stop. Even if we were going by the 7-day rule and you were negative, you could still come back, but you would still have to isolate yourself. Okay, the paper that I've given you, it should shed some light onto that. And again, these are CDC rules.
This was the blue box here, I think is what it says. So it's talking about you've got 14 days, and then it says the first bullet point, quarantine can end at day 10 without testing if no symptoms have been reported during daily monitoring. Next bullet point, when diagnostic testing resources are sufficient available, quarantine can end after 7 days, diagnostic specimen test, etc. And then if you go down to the bottom of the blue box, in both cases, additional criteria, continued symptom monitoring and masking through day 14 must be met and are outlined in the full text.
And so basically, you still have to mask up and isolate yourself for 14 days. Okay, any other questions about that? What I want to do tomorrow, I want to send this out to all the schools, and we met with the charter schools, and so the charter schools as well as the public schools will be on the same accord.
The principals were all in the.
Yes, all the principals and APs were there.
So I think the takeaway is that the Department of Health, the CDC guidelines are saying it's possible to allow the children back in with testing at 7 days, but you've got to have masks and you've got to have these other things. And you're saying practically, we don't think our district can do that. And so you're recommending that we keep the children out for the entire 14 days.
Yes, that's a takeaway from the group meeting yesterday.
Okay. And so that's y'all's decision.
And you know, I will say that, I know all the schools have been hit with trying to navigate this and figure it out. The high school has moved to where they've expanded where they're located to the point where hopefully in the future, only people being sent home will be people who are positive, because they've expanded to the gym, to the cafeteria for classes. So, they're already, to get the distance, so where you're not having all this quarantining of students. So, again, I think we're doing all we can do, but at some point it is just like a snowball effect, which maybe how they've moved out their space there will make it, we won't see it for so many days, but hopefully within the next week or so, it will only be the people who are tested positive will be the ones going home, not everyone who's come in contact with that person. And again, to your other feeder schools, I don't know that they have the space or the manpower to do what the high school is doing. The high school has a large space with the lower student enrollment to be able to spread out like that. I know at Lee and Pinetta and Central, I don't know that you could spread out and have people still be able to watch the students, and you're dealing with a different age range also. I mean, it's just a bad situation that we're going
You
through.
hate to do this, but, I mean, there's not a lot of choices. If they've got to quarantine for 14 days and 7 at home and 7 at school, I don't see how we can handle the 7 at school. To quarantine you, to keep you, I think that it's hard on the kids, it's hard on the space, the teachers, the employees. And I mean, how do you get to the room? You got to go in the hall.
Right.
And it was causing a lot of confusion among the schools and the families
That's the other
because
thing. It needs to
you
be
went to one
uniform
school, you
everywhere.
had this rule, you went to another school, you had this rule.
So you
I'm
pretty
glad
much
the
been
charter
everybody on the
schools and
same page.
everybody's on the
Yes,
same
ma'am, we're
page.
trying to get on the same page.
The health department,
They were in attendance also.
they were in attendance.
So it won't matter that the health department gives them a clear release at 10 days, it won't matter.
The health department does not give them a clear release. The health department says you can come back, it's in this document,
I know,
okay?
I know that.
Okay.
I know what's in there, but I mean, I just experienced that with my grandchildren. They was quarantined, and at 10 days, they got a letter from the health department. saying
But if they
go
could
back.
come back and they continue to remain the 6 feet the distance and wear the face mask. Okay, well, that's what we were told by the health department.
Yeah, well, I'm just telling you, you know, that's just what's happening.
Okay.
What I'm asking you is, no matter what the health department says, are we gonna go by 14 days?
This is what we want to do. We want to go by the 14 days, and the health department is in line with helping us to enforce the 14 days.
Where I think our issue would be is, the 2 charter schools require masks all day within the school, within the classroom. We do not. So if we're going to allow people to come back, I would think before the 14 days, then we're going to have to do mandatory masks all day.
But the deal is, you can wear a mask or not. That does not stop you
Right.
from being
Right,
isolated.
right.
Okay,
So on top of the isolation, you're still going to have to mask.
yes.
I mean, that's where, I mean, I don't see how we can enforce that or even, because we hadn't been doing that. There's no way we could start doing that now at this point. No one wants the students to have to come home, but until this, I don't know what our other options are. You know, I feel horrible for the ones who have had multiple quarantines. Some students have had 2 and 3 sets of being home for the 14 days.
My daughter said too.
And so it's
Well, this may help with the problem. In other words, if they stay home for 10 to 14 days, maybe this will keep them quarantined, they'll get over it and be done with it.
well, you're quarantining people who maybe don't have it.
Right.
That's it.
Well, that's, yeah.
What they do is you got one positive, and then they contact trace and find out all the
Everybody.
people that's been around. Now, all these folks have to stay home. That's my one daughter.
Okay.
She's on her
Yes.
second one right now because of that.
If you're popular and around a lot of people,
Exactly.
could be some trouble.
But I think that, Mr. Carroll, to get to your point, this is a recommendation, and so you all are deciding whether or not you're gonna go.
I mean, I'm good with them,
Yeah.
good with it, I just want it to be,
Yeah,
I just want it to be across the board with it,
right,
you know, and not the health department saying, yes, they can come back
yeah.
at this time, and it's not the 14 days.
I think you're right, there's gonna take some education, because I think when a parent gets a letter from the health department that says, my child's good to go, they're gonna have some questions about, well, now, why does the school not allow them to come back
Well,
for the rest of that 14 days? And so I think you're certainly allowed to have that policy, but you're gonna have to take some steps to educate people on
And
it.
you'll be sending this information home with the students, to the parents?
I will be sending it to the principals and I will be contacting the health department and ask him to quit putting that 7 and 10 days on that letter. So we don't have that confusion. We will post it. I would like the schools to send it out, okay? And I'll do an all-call and all that.
But I would get them prepared, like you're saying, because when they get that letter from the
Yeah,
health
but,
department, they're gonna have some questions.
Tonight, I will ask the health department, please, moving forward, do not, if you agree, do not put those 7 and 10 days on that letter anymore.
I just think that's gonna cause, it'll cause us trouble if they do. I'm talking about, I'm all for it. I mean, I'm all for making them safe. That's what we're supposed to do. Make people safe as we can. But.
See, if they quarantine 10 students, and all 10 students come back to school, and they have to quarantine inside the classroom, you can't space them out 6 feet apart. 10 students.
Okay.
So you have no room, so it is best to say 14 days
And be done with it.
and be done with it.
But we gotta
just
get
don't have
the
capacity.
cooperation of the health department. That's all I'm saying.
Well, they were there at the meeting, right?
Yes.
So they're on board.
And I would
They
think
did
that they
a
would do.
45-minute presentation to us yesterday, where we had question and answers, and we worked this
I
out.
would think they would do whatever, I mean, it's going to facilitate being safety for all. I mean, I would think that they would be receptive to whatever is asked of them to do. So with that being said, do we need to like do a vocal?
I would think you'd need to vote to approve that, and if that's what y'all want to do. And then the superintendent can then disperse it to the schools and post it on the website.
Okay, I will add to item, I will go back
5.6.
and include a 5.6, Ms. Sandley, to include when to quarantine.
This would
Miss-
be all students and all students and employees.
Well,
Not employees.
Not employees, because
No,
they're
not employees.
essential
No, I'm
workers.
sorry, I meant, yeah.
When to quarantine students and for them to be quarantined for the 14 days.
Must be quarantined.
Okay, is there a motion to approve the,
Okay.
is there a motion to approve?
Okay, I move to approve that all students must be quarantined for 14 days.
And the way I would probably
That's,
phrase that is that that we will not be allowing them to use the 10-day and 7-day options on the 14 days. They have to be quarantined for the whole 14 days.
this eliminates the
If you're
10-day and
quarantined, it would be, have to
7-day
be for
option.
14
The
days.
whole 14 days, they wouldn't have those options of coming out early.
Right.
If that's what y'all want to do, I'm not saying do that, but if that's what y'all want to do, that's how I do it.
Is that your motion, Ms. Gibson?
Yes.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson to include the entire 14-day quarantine, not the 7 or 10. Is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson. Discussion? I mean, I would just like to say, I mean, no one here wants to quarantine kids, but we do want people safe, and we do not have the space within the school sites to start quarantining students within the building.
Yes, because like Ms. Bell pointed out, it might not be just one student in the class, it could be the
Oh,
whole class.
The high school has, how many out, Ms. Joseph? Over 100?
That was about 2 weeks ago.
It's better,
It's a whole lot
But
better.
we have had
it
numbers
was
up
bad.
high as over 100.
We can't
How in the
quarantine.
world, if we have half of those come back at that point, how would a school administrator be able to navigate spreading all those people out and keeping an eye on them all day? You couldn't.
He
You
couldn't.
couldn't do it. So, again, hopefully that this will subside and we can go back to as much normal as soon as we can, as soon as possible. It's been properly moved by Ms. Gibson, seconded by Ms. Williamson. If there's any other further discussion, all those in favor, show a hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Stanley.
I've got one other thing.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, the one other thing is that, this is a reminder, we will be having our district accreditation beginning Sunday through Wednesday. It will be a virtual accreditation. I will get with Dr. Pettiford because she's our lead person this year, our district lead, and she has submitted your names to the accreditation team, and all accreditations conversation will be Zoom. So I really don't know which name she submitted. I don't know what's time slot. And so she'll get that to you this week.
So you talk about that they'll meet with you virtually to ask you all
Yes,
those
ma'am.
questions that they want
Yes,
to
ma'am.
ask you.
And at your desk, I put some sample questions, okay? I'm not saying those are the questions I'll ask you, but those are sample questions.
Ms. Joseph?
Yes,
I don't need-
ma'am.
I don't need an answer right now, but I'm wondering, how are we coming along with the students who have not been participating with any education at all? You know, we hired the 5 or 6 people.
Okay.
You don't have to give me an answer right now,
Okay.
but I just
I'll
want-
talk with you about that later on.
Yeah,
Okay?
I'm curious about that.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chair. That's all I have to say.
That's all? Okay. Mr. Carroll, I'm sorry, Mr. Attorney, do you have anything?
No, sir, no, that's your question.
Okay. Mr. Carroll, do you have anything?
I do. I got a couple things. I appreciate all the prayers, one thing, you know, from the loss of my mom, I appreciate that. But, I've been, you know, being a new board member, I've been going and listening to the legislature stuff, and, I've been reading things, and, it's gonna be a tough time, look like, you know, with the
Yes.
finances, so, I mean, I think we need to start trying to prepare and plan or whatever, as a group or whatever, as soon as we can, because it's coming. From all the things that I've been reading and listening to, and webinars and that sort of thing. And then another thing is, you know, and again, I know money is tight everywhere, but we need to be having some kind of plan for our facilities out there for athletics. I mean, the tennis courts are terrible, the track's terrible, the press box is about to fall down. I mean, it's terrible. You know, we need to somehow or another come up with some kind of plan, whether it's a 5-year plan, 10-year plan, or whatever, to get some of that stuff, because it's not gonna go away. It's gonna get worse, I imagine. So, I know right now they can't even practice the long jump because the runway is dangerous for them even to run on. And the pit is terrible. So, I mean, there's just a lot of things that we, and I know, and I understand that it's just concerning to me, that, you know, we're gonna have to somehow or another come up with a plan to get that, because our students deserve to have the best that we can offer. And I know all y'all agree with that. I'm just stating that I mean, that's just one thing that concerns me. Well, especially the shortfall with the FTE money and all that kind of stuff, due to the COVID and due to people not coming to, you know, not in school, and it's real concerning. And so, I just wanted to say that to that. And I know all y'all thinking about it already, but I wanted to bring it up.
And you're right, we do need a plan, and this quote was from 2016 for the tennis courts. 6 new courts were $161,000. Redoing the track for 8 lanes, because it had to be enlarged, was $124,000. So that's a lot of money.
Yep.
And again, I don't know, unfortunately, we don't have a pot of money where that would come from other than the general fund. So if anybody has any ideas of how to do it.
Excuse me, I think, you know, there's all kind of different things out there, grant-wise, that could help us. You know, we might have to partner with the county a little bit, but that could help us with some of these things. I know, like for our middle school, J.J. Watt has a foundation for middle schools only. You can apply through his, and every team out there, he'll buy them new uniforms, new equipment, whatever.
You want to send that information to me and I'll share it with the middle school so they can get on that?
What material is a track made out of, Frankie?
Well, right now it's asphalt, but I mean, that's not legal anymore.
Okay.
You have to go to, it's a rubber type
Yep.
stuff.
That was my question, because,
Yeah.
you know, we get that rebate that you can't buy anything with it but asphalt.
Yeah. But I just, you know, there's, you know, like the J.J. Watt grant, you know, there's things that help. I know I applied for it up there where I work, and he sent us $25,000 to get new uniforms
Get me the info.
and everything.
The tennis court, I want to say that it could be cheaper if you just like resurface it than the 161,000, but still, even at the resurfacing, I want to seem to think it was around 50.
And there were grants for that, if you remember, but what we had to do was we had to agree to open it to the public.
That's
And
issue.
where those tennis courts are located, it's not easy to
For
do it.
I know.
Be open to the public. You know, one thing, like you're talking about partnering with the county, you know, if you, whatever money you were gonna use, if you could use maybe to enlarge what the county has that's open to the public, and then agree that during the school day, those courts would be closed and only open to the school kids. You know, you might be able to work something out like that. That might be a way to kind of jointly use everybody's money, you know. And then that might make you eligible for that grant
Right.
that, you know, you gotta have it open to the public for. I don't know, just throwing that out. That was one of the things that was contemplated back at the time, but
Right.
came up before.
Where the issue, I think, with the track is they're having to enlarge it and add an extra lane or add 2 extra lanes.
Right, I think that's a 6-lane track out there.
To rebuild it to an 8-lane, it was 124,000 with,
Is that a state requirement? Now it's gotta be an 8-lane?
well, for
too?
competition.
Well, if you want to host meets,
Oh, I see what you're
Okay.
saying. I see what you're saying.
and you really don't have to have 8 lanes.
Right,
If you want to host meets, it has to be 8 lanes.
I got you.
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't even really see how they prepare for competition with what they
I-
have out there now.
I mean, it's not really fair to our kids to ask them to compete at high levels when they have them to work
Right.
with that.
Right.
I mean, that's just.
No, I agree with you. I sort of question that also of how they even prepare to go to any competition, because I don't know that there's a high jump out there. There's not a long jump. You don't see any hurdles, so I don't know how unless they're just doing cross country, I don't know. But again, that is something that we are looking into, and anything that anybody can say to help us have an idea of what we could do, we'll be glad to listen and try to do it, because it's hard to make money up here. Well, it's hard to do that, but anything, Mr. Carroll, that you would know of that we could do for it would be great. Is that all?
That's it.
Okay. Ms. Bell?
I would like to say congratulations to the Madison County Cowboys girls basketball team for becoming district champs. I think the boys play on February the 18th against Bell. I'm not sure about the girls.
Okay, is that all? Okay, Ms. Gibson?
And I'd like to congratulate them also, thank you. I'd like to continue to express my appreciation for all of our employees for what they do each and every day. You are very much appreciated, especially with what's going on right now. I always remember a long ago principal that I had told us school is the only stable environment for many children. And this is so true, so thank you for what you do. And I agree with you about the tennis courts. I've taken pictures. I've gone out there and it's really not a tennis court. But I would love to improve on it or whatever we can do to help.
Okay, Ms. Williamson?
I just want to thank everybody for all they do every day in all the areas that everybody goes beyond to educate and keep our children safe and provide them with the things that they need. And I just want to thank everybody.
Okay. I want to thank Ms. Joseph, her staff, the principals for all they've done in trying to make this as seamless as possible. I recently attended the finance conference in February the 11th through the 12th, and one thing that the speaker kept reiterating was that anytime you have a disaster, the main thing that needs to be reestablished is schools being reopened, so you can get back to a normal way of living, and we've done that here. I want to thank Governor DeSantis for pushing back in August that we would go to school. You see on the news people who aren't in school, and we have been in school. As hard as this has been, we've still been able to do it, and I appreciate that. And the kids want to be in school. Last evening I had the opportunity and chance of passing out ribbons at the Livestock Show. It was the 67th annual Livestock Show, and probably one of the highlights of being the chairman. A really nice event. In talking of this Livestock Show, it was the swine, it was the hogs. The reserve champion student was Gracie Galbraith. I think she graduated, but she was the reserve champion for the Livestock Show with her hog. Fifth place was Hunt Williams, a student of ours. In record keeping, the swine first place was Gracelyn Phillips, a student at Lee Elementary. For the beef, first place was Chloe Page, I think at Creative Arts. The judging teams, the 4-H junior first was Jackson Churchwell, Jacob Churchwell and Gracelyn Phillips of Hickory Grove, 4-H. Second place in judging teams was Summer Williams, Hunt Williams, and Charlotte Albritton of Hickory Grove, 4-H. 4-H intermediate, second place was Kylie Crooks, Sierra Crooks, and Samantha Sweat, Hickory Grove, 4-H. Third place was Tyler Ward, Lane Keeling, and Luke Washington, Hickory Grove. For the individual high score judging teams would be first place J.D. Peavy, Madison High School FFA. First place Ethan Cook, Hickory Grove 4-H, and first place Summer Williams, Hickory Grove 4-H. With that being said, the Livestock Show is made up of students within the district, either homeschool, private school, charter school, but it's still our students in the district who participated and did a great job, and we celebrate with them their accomplishments. I also would like to congratulate the girls basketball team who won district, the boys basketball team who won their 5th straight district title. And I think they're playing Bell at home this Thursday at 7 for the first round. I also would like to congratulate Jessica Pride, who became Madison County High School's first ever girl weightlifter to make the state competition and finish 8th place. She's also a cheerleader for the high school. And would like to congratulate all the school-related personnels of the year, and we have one here tonight. I said earlier, Miss Stanley was our district office, and just appreciate all the work she has done and does for the district. I know back, Ms. Gibson and I had a training, and she helped set up our TV and the annex, and we do appreciate that and appreciate you filling in tonight for Ms. Bishop. But again, just going back to appreciating the governor for letting us work, for letting us have school, for letting us be in person. Again, for students need to be in person, they need the instruction, especially students who are not on grade level. The other thing I had to, that I wanted to tell the parents about, free books are offered to any Florida student through the Florida House of Representatives, Speaker Sprouse. The Florida House has partnered with Reading IQ. It has partnered with Age of Learning to offer Reading IQ. It's an online book center where they could check book or they could read books, and it's readingiq.com/New Worlds, and you're able to create a free account. It's a digital library where students are able to select books on their current reading level based on a reading assessment they would take. and it's aligned to the school curriculum, which will be really good, and it's for children 12 and under. And it also has the aspect on this where it has immersive reader, where the student may click and it be read to them, and that's really good for students who maybe struggle with reading, for the book to be read to them to help facilitate their reading. This is a New World Reading Initiative, and again, it's sponsored by the House of Representatives, and they're partnering with the Age of Learning. So I appreciate Speaker Sprouse and what he's doing for the students of Florida, and this is good through December the 31st of 2021. So I encourage all parents to go to readingiqiscapitalized.com/New Worlds, and you go to it and you're able to create a free account.
I'm wondering, will the parents be notified of this?
Yes, they are. We've
Are they?
already sent out a district-wide
Okay.
email, and we're in the process of putting it on Peach Star
Thank you.
and on the Facebook.
Yeah, Ms. Hill had sent it.
Yeah,
Ms. Hill had sent it, and I just wanted to say it tonight, but this is something good that the parents could take advantage of.
very good.
That's all I have to say, and wish everyone a good night, and try to stay safe, and wish the high school good luck in their playoffs. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I made the motion to adjourn.
Okay, it's been properly moved by Ms. Bell. Is there a second?
Second?
Okay, it's been seconded by Ms. Gibson. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor, show of hand, please. 5-0, Ms. Stanley.